With the breakthrough in dualtronic technology and the successful launch of the Constitution class itself, Starfleet Command would step out of its starship box in an attempt to redefine itself for a new era. One of these designs, the Perseus Class, would become one of Starfleet's first tactical starship designs. But what do we know about this tactical powerhouse? Well, today we'll find out. Hello and welcome to another episode of Truth or Myth Beta Canon, a Star Trek web series that dives into the history of any given topic using beta canon sources and my own imagination to fill in the gaps. In today's episode, we're taking a look at the Perseus Class, a Star Trek the original series style design created for Star Trek Online to better understand its place in Star Trek history. With an ever-evolving beta canon universe, there seems to be an endless supply of starship designs. However, due to the nature of Star Trek Online being a video game designed to be the ultimate fun in Star Trek adventure, sometimes their designs and/or storylines simply don't jive with established canon or beta canon. And so what I've done here is taken the elements that do work with the various levels of canon and crafted a story around them in the hopes of creating an extended universe that you good trinaries can all enjoy. I'd also like to send out a huge thank you once again to ThatGuyAndres for providing the excellent starship model of the Perseus Class. Follow their link in the description below and show them some lovin' for all their hard work. And of course, as always, because this is a beta canon video, all information relayed should pretty much be taken with a grain of stardust, and only considered a little bit of Star Trek fun. And so, with all that out of the way, let's begin. Starfleet's launch of the Constitution class had been a complete and unprecedented success for the organization. So much so that Starfleet Command immediately ordered its Corps of Design Engineers to come up with several starship designs that mirrored the aesthetics of the Constitution class. Starfleet wanted to change its entire image, a political move designed to strengthen its position within the galaxy, as well as to ward off any would-be invaders that might think Starfleet was unable to protect the Federation's citizens, as their current starship designs were old and most would have said obsolete. One of the first vessel classes on the list would be a design with its focus being on a tactical mission profile, as they wanted a class purely intended to be used as a border patrol class, and this class became known as the Perseus Class. Sitting at a length of 200 meters and 12 decks tall, the Perseus Class would be designed to be operated by 175 officers and crew members. With the Constitution class as a starting point, Starfleet's Corps of Design Engineers began to realize that there were certain aspects of the class that would not make it a very tactically sound design. The major problem being the secondary hull, which contained its massive deflector dish. In order to allow for closer, less power-costing defensive shielding for the Perseus class, it was decided immediately that the secondary hull would be completely removed from the design, and the deflector dish would be integrated directly into the saucer section. Its far more compact profile would allow for a smaller shield bubble grid to protect the ship, which meant far less power being used, which in turn meant this class could last longer in a firefight. To give this class a further distinctive look from the Pioneer class, the Perseus class would also see its nacelles brought from the top of the starship down to the underside of this design, with pylons that extended straight out from the aft section of the primary hull and then angled downward. The Perseus class would have a standard safe cruising speed of warp factor 6, with an emergency maximum speed of warp factor 7. Offensive-wise, this class would contain a standard complement of phaser emitters as well as 2 photon torpedo launchers. But for Starfleet's Corps of Engineers, that simply was not enough for a class with a tactical mission profile. And so, determined to make this class an offensive powerhouse, they included a new experimental device that they called a phaser cannon. Similar to phase cannons of a century before, these phaser cannons were designed to emit bursts of intense phaser energy, and were designed to overstep the limitation of phaser emitter design technology of the time. Though Starship phaser emitters were quite powerful, the amount of power they could discharge against an enemy vessel was actually quite limited, due to overheating and burnout possibilities. Phaser energy discharged through an emitter had to be kept quite low, to prevent those specified problems from occurring. And in theory, these new phaser cannon systems would not be so limited. Unfortunately, like so many things in life, the reality of the situation was far different from the theory. Though the phaser cannon did work as theorized, with energy output almost double that of standard phaser emitters, the cooling process to allow for a second immediate discharge of the weapon did not work correctly. Starfleet technology of the time was simply not up to that task, meaning that a starship could fire a second shot for the cannon, but only after a several-minute cooldown period. Nevertheless, thanks to rumors and PR done by Starfleet Command, many enemy races in the Alpha and Beta quadrants believed this phaser cannon to be far more powerful than it actually was, and that it had no drawbacks at all. And this in itself would help deter several enemies of the Federation from engaging with this class of starship. The Perseus Class would be launched in mid-2246, with fanfare similar to that of the Constitution class's launch. And although outperforming all expectations held by Starfleet Command during its shakedown cruise, the organization would choose to only have a limited run of the class built. This was because other emerging classes, such as the single nacelle designs known as the Saladin and Hermes classes, were achieving the same performance statistics as the Perseus class, but were easier and faster to construct. Nevertheless, the Perseus class itself would become a welcome addition to the fleet, bolstering Starfleet's defenses along the Romulan neutral zone and the border to Klingon space until 2276. And although Starfleet Command for a time considered a refit-style version of the Perseus class, they eventually deemed it unnecessary, as the Miranda class and its variants being developed would fill any void left over by the Perseus class. During the mid-23rd century, Starfleet Command would experiment and redefine its starship designs time and time again, leading some Starfleet historians to consider this period one of the most important in Starfleet history. From Scout-class single nacelle designs to Dreadnought 3 and 4 nacelle designs, Starfleet Command would continue to push its Corps of Engineers to its limit, guaranteeing that Starfleet Command and the United Federation of Planets would be looked upon as a true galactic power, rather than just being a minuscule organization to be invaded and conquered. And thanks to this continual push for technological breakthroughs, and classes like the Perseus class, Starfleet Command and the United Federation would endure, eventually becoming the predominant power on the galactic stage, earning the Perseus class its innovative and powerful place in Starfleet history. Thank you for watching today's episode of Truth or Myth Beta Canon. What do you think of the Perseus class and the historical narrative that I've created here? Do you want to see more videos like this one? Well, leave your comments in the section below, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel, hitting that little bell icon so you won't miss a single video we release. Want to help the channel patrol and protect the furthest borders of Federation space? Then consider becoming a channel patron. The link to our Patreon account is in the description below. Thanks again for watching. Live long and prosper.